what's going on, everybody? This is JohnJake Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with the conclusion of the prelude regular season here in this Conference USA Dynasty. We got a lot of good games happening around our conference, and a few games that, maybe could have some minor national implications outside of the Conference USA. So we have a long episode here in this one, and I hope you stick around for that entire thing, because it's going to be a good one here, man. Make sure you go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, shoot, even leave a comment for your boy, as all of those things help out my channel tremendously when you do those things, man. And let's go ahead and jump into our first game of the episode, as Florida International is going to make the field trip to the Metro Atlanta area to take on the FBS's newest team in Kennesaw State. The Owls trying their best to finish this regular season strong. They are 1-9, really just trying their best to not get their coach fired in this first season. We did see Brett Bohemian fired in real life, but in this iteration of this prelude season, the Kennesaw State head coach is still here, but if they give a lackluster effort here in these final two games of the season, could be a much more difficult conversation, as FIU has a lot to play for here. They are playing to try and make it to a bowl game, trying to reach that bowl eligibility, but they got to win out if they want to make that happen, and it starts here. So at the very least, Kennesaw State could play a little bit of spoiler. They could prevent this what I would like to say, this FIU squad from going to a bowl game and being able to force a turnover in the second quarter. That's really going to help out with that. They will end up getting a field goal out of it, so they don't fully take advantage of the turnover, but they will at least come out and get points. So 7-3 is your score. It's been a low scoring first half, as we'll go ahead and see if Keontae Owens can lead his team downfield. Final 35 seconds of the half. He's got a wide open man on the post and gets to about midfield, and all of a sudden this FIU offense ends up cooking, and they end up cooking it down inside the 25-yard line eventually, where it sets up a 45-yard field goal attempt. The field goal is good, and FIU, just like that, is going to take a 10-3 lead into the half. Meanwhile, in the third quarter, not much happening in the third quarter. Don't really see a lot of these teams, kind of punching back and forth. Nothing too crazy here, though. But with less than 30 seconds left in the quarter, Kennesaw State is going to be able to get yet another fumble, bro. Another fumble for the Kennesaw State Owls. And suddenly, if they can get a score here on this possession, this could become a much more interesting ball game. They're going to run it up the gut later on in the drive, and the Owls, that's how they are going to get their first offensive touchdown of the game. And oh baby, did they really need that. The Owls are right back in it. And FIU, consider yourself on upset alert, buddy, as Michael Benfield, the senior, playing in his final home game in a Kennesaw State uniform, is going to punch it in. And now FIU needs a response, because Kennesaw State has the momentum right now and could have a little bit more, as Keontae Owens is sacked in the backfield. And that is going to be a major loss. A 9-yard loss on the sack. That's Donovan Westmoreland, the sophomore, able to get some harassment in the backfield. It'll eventually stall out the drive, as FIU would have to settle for yet another field goal. And the FIU Panthers only going to be up by 6. However, Kennesaw State cannot respond. They had to punt the football away, so with 6 minutes left, instead we could see FIU close this game out. What a dime down the middle of the field, and it's a touchdown. That could be the dagger here, ladies and gentlemen. What a throw to Jonah on that seam route. Had to be a perfect throw, and all the credit in the world to Keontae Owens. He's going to find the senior Ginopri, and it's a big time play for FIU, providing So a little bit of space here for Kennesaw State, or at least away from Kennesaw State, as now the Owls will need to score quickly, and not to mention they're probably going to need an onside kick as well, depending on how much is left on the clock. But Kennesaw State credit, they are not giving up. They are not going to go down without a fight, as the Kennesaw State Owls, they will respond in kind a few minutes later. Christian Moss, wide butt naked open, over the middle of the field, and is able to run it into the end zone. Just might have been a busted zone coverage. It had to be, because ain't no way that was man coverage, right? So they do get one more shot at the ball. 15 seconds left. Gotta throw it up to try to make a play. And oh my goodness, Kennesaw State has a chance to win this thing, because FIU, they failed the 2-point conversion earlier. So now Kennesaw State, final play of the game, can they pull it out? Pressure, has to get rid of it, and it falls to the ground. There is no seconds left on the clock, and Kennesaw State is gonna drop to 1-10, while FIU at the same time, they are just barely going to be alive for bowl eligibility. This was a close game for sure. This is a game that was actually mostly dominated by FIU. They had, significantly more yards than Kennesaw State, but give credit to the Owls where credit is due. They hung in there, they won a turnover battle, and they were right there at the end of the game. Just couldn't make that final play. But with that, we are going to see a couple of our Conference USA teams make a road trip to power conference environments. First, we got Louisiana Tech going on the road to take on Arkansas. Now, Arkansas, is not a ranked SEC team by any means, but they are a team that's trending in the right direction. They certainly have met the over-under threshold already. They already hit the over on wins this season in accordance to FanDuel. I know that because I actually bet the under on Arkansas wins in real life. But all credit in the world to this Arkansas football team. Actually, it's a solid squad here. And so the Arkansas Razorbacks getting ready to go to work here. So let's see what we got in this 6-4 Arkansas team. And let's see what Louisiana Tech can do. They are coming in with nearly not as much momentum, 3-7. So it's going to be a miracle if they want to compete with this Arkansas football team, especially on the home field, right? It's one thing to play, a superior football team on a neutral site field. That's one thing. But when you got to go out and play in this kind of environment, I know they're not listed on like the toughest places to play in EA college football, but this is still a very intimidating environment to be in. And even, on a day like this where it's expected to be a blowout, we got a pretty close to a full house, right? So, gonna be a big uphill hill to climb on, as Arkansas already up 7-0, fires over the right-hand side and finds his receiver, and that's gonna be another huge play for the Razorbacks, who find themselves in Bulldog territory once again, and it'll eventually be capped off by another touchdown on the slant pattern, as Taylon Green is gonna be able to go ahead, and he will throw his second touchdown of the afternoon. We are still barely in a quarter of action. You can see really the talent differential, and that's the one reason why I like these sliders, is when teams are, you can tell like who the good teams are and who the bad teams are. There's less volatility when it comes to like the simulation, whether it's in gameplay or whether it's in like a sim like this. But it's not all bad though, as we are actually able to get a sack. Imagine that. Luletta, the senior, able to bring Taylon Green to the ground. I believe he's a former Boise State transfer. And Sifo Luletta, the junior, able to bring him down. But Arkansas will get the first down conversion on the very next play. And then it simply becomes business as usual after that. Arkansas will score once again, and it's already turning into a splattering here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's a 21-3 lead, and we're still have half of a quarter to play before we even get into halftime. Crazy work being done here as now Louisiana Tech desperate to try to get anything going. They had their little spurts every once in a while, but you know, overall we have been down horrendous as a team, but this is gonna make it worse. We're gonna put the ball on the ground, and Arkansas is gonna recover. The Razorbacks are gonna get one on the scoreboard here yet again, and an Arkansas offense that has already been moving. They are going to go ahead and start inside the 35-yard line. A couple of plays later, we have a chance to get them off the field, but they're going to go with the halfback draw. They nearly pick up the first down off of this, and so we'll make them settle for a field goal. It's going to be about a 40-yard chip shot. Nothing too crazy here, especially for these like computer kickers and EA college football. Field goal attempt is going to be good, and honestly, for the Louisiana Tech defense, that has to be a major victory, right? I mean, like, you had an SEC offense starting inside your own 35, and the fact that you're able to hold them to a field goal, I mean, that has to be considered a major victory. The defensive coordinator definitely excited about that, but he's not going to be excited about this punt return. Taken back to the crib, finding the end zone. It's another touchdown for the Razorbacks, man. As Sategma, well, he's going to be living in our nightmares. Seems like for the foreseeable future, that's his third touchdown of the day. I mean, what can I say? This sophomore in Isaiah Sategma, he is simply a special football player, man. Not much that we can do about it. And so Arkansas with a commanding lead, 31-3 is your score. Just Louisiana Tech getting slaughtered out there. And the crazy part is they have a chance to get even more points on the board as Taylor Green throws a strike over the middle and is completed deep in our secondary. So they'll be set up now inside the 10-yard line where Green throws to the left-hand side, and that's just barbecue chicken on those crossing patterns. We just don't have the athleticism, and I feel like this could have been a foreseeable scenario. Like, even if it was like Liberty, who has the best overall in our conference, they still would be at best like a mid-tier conference, like a conference SEC team. And this is like full proof of that. Like, Arkansas could definitely be one of those teams, and I don't like making this I guess, argument for other conferences. But Arkansas would actually probably be good enough to win the Conference USA if we're being real with ourselves. So Louisiana Tech has nothing to feel bad about as we get to the start of the second half. You would think, you know, things can't get much worse, right? Well, we was wrong. We was definitely wrong about that assumption because Landon Jackson, the senior, is going to get the fumble recovery. They'll start in the red zone. And then a few plays later, Taylor Green on an RPO is going to fire it into the back of the end zone. It's another touchdown for this Arkansas Razorbacks team. This time, finding Armstrong in the back of the end zone. And just one of those days in which we really do end up seeing like everybody getting involved. It's like an Oprah Winfrey show. You know, you get a touchdown, he gets a touchdown. Seems like every starter on the Arkansas offense got touchdowns as they will move into a 69-13 rout of Louisiana Tech. It was a tough experience for us on the road, but hey, Louisiana Tech is at least going to get that paycheck for taking this beating. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and check out what hopefully is a little bit more competitive game than what we just witnessed on our screens, as Sam Houston will make the road trip to take on Jacksonville State. Now, with that being said, Jacksonville State is in a position to potentially go out and cover a like a trip to the Conference USA Championship, or at least extremely close to doing so, as they are coming in undefeated in Conference USA play. While Sam Houston has looked amazing here in their second season at the FBS level, coming in 8-2. And so a win for Sam Houston could mean that there is a very slight likelihood of seeing Sam Houston ranked by the College Football Playoff Committee. If that could happen, you never know with this game, so a lot more implications here on both sides. It isn't just simply someone trying to go out and play a little bit of spoiler. No, these are two teams that are both trying to go out and compete for a championship as we'll go ahead and get things started here with a field goal attempt up and good. And so Jacksonville State will take a 3-0 lead. Other than that, nothing crazy really happening in that first quarter of action, as we'll go ahead and get to the start of the second quarter here. This could be more than something here as they go down the sideline. And it's a massive game that sets Jacksonville State up in premium position to score. And they will. Touchdown for the Gamecocks, and Jacksonville State gets another one on the board. And here we are early in the second quarter. It looks like Jacksonville State is poised to clinch at least a trip to the Conference USA Championship. I won't go so far as to say that they are going to clinch that home field advantage for a Conference USA title game, because there is still like a couple of other games that do need to happen, as Tyler Webb gets absolutely lit up like a Christmas tree, as that was Trey Fields coming in from the linebacker position to go ahead and lay down that lumber. That's the senior trying to put Jacksonville State in a compromising position, as 3rd and long here. They actually go with a little bit of a QB run, trying to pick up the first down, and actually had some decent blocks for a second. But the Sam Houston State defense is able to react, and they are going to get a fumble with less than 30 seconds left here in the first half. Just trying to run out this clock, but instead, the Bearcats, those cardiac cats, are looking to put points on the board before we go into halftime. While they will actually fail to pick up any first downs before we go into halftime, they will at least get a field goal. So they're not being shut out anymore. Sam Houston will at least have something on the scoreboard. Just 3 points and a half is really not winning football by any means, as they'll go ahead and jump to late in the third quarter, where the Gamecocks still find themselves up by a couple of possessions. And listen, Tyler Webb's been doing a solid job moving the ball downfield, has 200 yards passing today, just hasn't done a great job of finishing drives, but we might see a change in tone here, as 2 consecutive really nice plays are going to set up this Jacksonville State squad down onto the goal line, as they'll go ahead and run it on 1st and goal, and they just are barely going to get it. It was close. I thought it was going to end up being 2nd and goal in a very short 1-yard line, but it looks like what happened was, listen, that Jacksonville State running back is going to be able to just barely cross the plane, and so Andrew Paul, the sophomore, is going to get that score. And not to mention, they do also get the 2-point conversion as well. So Jacksonville State is up 24-3 going into the final quarter. Really just needs something to shake out here in these final moments of action, as we got Sam Houston starting to put together a little bit of something here, as Hunter Watson will be honored with 200 completed passes for the season. He's been doing some good work for Sam Houston. He's not the catalyst of this offense, but he's certainly not a complete liability. I would say it's a little bit more of this offensive line, especially later in this ball game. Taking a sack like that is simply not acceptable. As now, 4th and 21, Hunter needs a big play downfield and gets it. And the tight end stays on his feet and picks up a couple more extra yards after that. As Bearcats will go into a no huddle to try to score quickly. And thankfully, they will end up making that happen, as the Bearcats will end up finding the end zone. Touchdown for this Bearcat squad. And it feels good to finally go ahead and get that first touchdown of the game. Wish they were able to move the ball like this a little bit sooner, because here we are down 24-10. And if Jacksonville State picks up this first down, this game is effectively barbecue chicken. But hold up now. Wait a minute. This could get a little bit more interesting, especially if this field goal attempt genuinely fails. As the kick is up, this is a long field goal, but of course it's going to slice it down the middle and makes it a 3-possession game. And yeah, Sam Houston is not going to be able to do anything with the remaining time on the clock. So Jacksonville State will at least be able to say they are going to the Conference USA Championship. Andrew Paul gets named player of the game. He had 2 rushing touchdowns in this particular performance. And as for Sam Houston, any chance of them being ranked in the top 25 is probably going to be dead. for this season. But at the same time, though, what I will say is, this is a really good football team. They still have an outside shot to make the championship game, but they would, of course, need some help. Now, speaking of teams that are going to need some major help, the UTEP Miners are going to be a team that is going to need possibly a major rehaul this upcoming season. Now, UTEP is located in the state of Texas, obviously, but they're more like, they're closer into like New Mexico than in like the heartland of Texas, where a lot of like the really good Texas football players are. So UTEP is in like a unique spot that, yes, they're a Texas team, but they're not in as good of a pipeline as you would think they would have. And of course, on the field, the product on the field has not been great for UTEP this season. They do have a brand spanking new head coach. And here we are, 2 games left in the season, and UTEP coming in at a putrid 2-8 record. They are, of course, going on the road to take on the Tennessee Volunteers, who at this point, do have an outside chance of making the playoff, sitting at 8-2. They will finish their season out against Vanderbilt. But first, they're going to see if they can handle things in the bye game against UTEP. And so far, well, things are going good as they're going to give Tennessee the touchdown here. But this was genuinely one of those plays where I'm just scratching my head and thinking to myself, well, how is that possible? And I truly believe this. How is that possibly a touchdown? Funny was well short of the goal line. They will review it, and it will eventually get overturned. But it's not going to be too much longer before Tennessee scores anyway. So the review was nice. I'm glad that they overturned the call because it was genuinely a bad call. But at the same time, it was more of one of these, kind of delaying the inevitable, right? That's really what it barrels down to, as Tennessee will end up finding a way to getting into the end zone. They'll score yet again here. And so with that, the Volunteers will quickly take a 10-0 lead. Later on in the first quarter, though, Nico Amuniala is going to face some significant pressure as UTEP sends the all-out blitz. And it actually works to perfection. We actually get a sack. UTEP makes a positive play, man. You absolutely love to see it, as Dorian Hopkins, the senior, is going to be able to bring Nico to the ground. But on the very next play, though, Nico goes with a play action. This one time, he has a completely clean pocket. All day to throw. He's going to send it downfield. And it's a head tap special. Oh, my God. White, you didn't have to do it to our guys. We're just here for the paycheck, big fella. Oh, my goodness gracious. You can tell that this Tennessee team came out here and is taking UTEP seriously, because they are performing on all cylinders right now. Squirrel White with a head tap touchdown, bro. That's insane. So the Volunteers out to a commanding lead here late in the first half, up 20-0, as Squirrel White is able to run free in the secondary once again. Just wide butt naked open. As here comes the Volunteers, looking for more points onto the board. Nico fires over the middle, and it's caught. Touchdown, Tennessee. And Nico is going to have his second passing touchdown of the afternoon. And they are absolutely loving it here in Neyland Stadium, where this Volunteer team goes to battle. As that was Chris Bizzell, the second that was able to go out there and get that particular score. So 27-0 going into the fourth quarter, though. Surprisingly able to hold Tennessee scoreless in the third quarter. That should be an absolute victory for UTEP, but I mean, we know how this game is going to go. Actually going surprisingly better than the Arkansas-Louisiana Tech game. I figured it would be the opposite, considering Tennessee does have aspirations to go to the college football playoff at the end of the season, whereas UTEP, it's kind of an evaluation year, just trying to figure out who's going to be a long-term fit for our roster and who do we need to make some adjustments for in the transfer portal. But Tennessee is going to win here. They win 40-0, as the Volunteers are going to be able to win with some ease and should set themselves up nicely with a 9-2 record as they will take on Vanderbilt for their season finale. Now, here's a game right here to kind of close things out here in week number 13. This is a matchup that could have massive implications in terms of who goes to the Conference USA Championship as well. Right now, Western Kentucky also controls their own destiny. However, Liberty winning this game, all of a sudden we could see the Liberty Flames in control of their own destiny as well, as both teams are coming onto the field now, as this Western Kentucky team just seemed like a couple of weeks ago, just seemed like a lot to make it in, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, just Hilltoppers have been struggling. Even their last victory was a little bit questionable for them, so it should be a pretty good one here for both teams, as Caden Videcamp is going to get things started here with a touchdown over the right-hand side. And this Hilltoppers team is going to get off to a huge start here. That is how you establish yourself on the opening drive. You want to talk about tone setters. We certainly had ourselves a tone setter right there, but that's not all. Late in the first quarter, Videcamp in the shotgun. It's a 5-wide set. Plenty of time to throw, and goes over the middle on the post, and it's completed into the end zone as well. Touchdown, Western Kentucky. And the Hilltoppers are going to come out with some huge points on the board, as his Hilltopper team is going to make it 14-0. That is going to be your score after one quarter of action, as that's the senior Michael Matheson able to catch it on a rope from Cade Videcamp. And that is going to put Liberty in a compromising position right now. This Hilltoppers team wants to go to the Conference USA Championship. It was a battle of 8-2 squads. Meanwhile, on the other side, we are trying to see if Liberty can make some competitive plays on the other side. And right now, it just seems like it's going to be one of those games where is Western Kentucky going to run away with this? I wasn't thinking of like either team was going to be chalked to win this game by any means, but the fact that this is so lopsided has been really interesting to see unfold right in front of our eyes. So Western Kentucky has a chance to make it 21-0, but with that being said, looks like Bruce Vaughn, I think that was what his name was able to get the sack on Caden Videcamp. It's a huge third down sack from the junior and Bryce Dixon. I was completely off on that name. And going to force the Hilltoppers to settle for a 44-yard field goal, which the attempt is up, and it is good. So still a commanding lead for Western Kentucky, but also feeling like they left some points on the board. As now, here we are in the second quarter, at least deeper into the second quarter now, trying to see if Videcamp can continue to his strong performance. But we got a sack on the ground, and Liberty recovers. It's a foot race against the offensive lineman, and we're going to see a big boy touchdown. Oh my goodness. A big boy touchdown to get Liberty on the board for the very first time today. And oh baby, did they really needed that. That is going to get Liberty right back into the game. And it sparks like this Liberty team across the board, because late in the second quarter, Caden Sauter, who we've hardly heard from this entire game so far, is finally going to wake up here a little bit before we go into the halftime locker room. As Salter is going to throw to his tight end, Hawson the second. And all of a sudden, Liberty is right back in it. After giving up 17 unanswered to start this game out, Liberty comes back with 14 unanswered of their own before we go into the half. And here's the thing here, guys. Liberty starts with the ball to begin the second half, so we can see a little bit of a double dip here, as now it's the Liberty Flames that have their opposition on the back foot. Now, they don't do anything major after that drive, but this field goal right here is going to, in fact, tie this game right back up. So field goal attempt is good, as now it's 17-all midway through the third quarter. We got ourselves a brand new ball game again, except Liberty has all the momentum in the world right now, as Caden Salter throws a dime to the front corner of the end zone. Copeland is going to score for Viz Liberty squad. And again, just a reminder, this team was down 17-0, but thanks to the freshman and Darius Copeland, it's now Liberty that finds itself out in front. And eventually, you know, Liberty will continue to pull away. That was all she wrote after that. And the Liberty Flames, from down 17-0, comes out with 30 unanswered after that last field goal from the Hilltoppers. And Caden Salter, your player of the game, is a big reason for that. So it looks like Liberty could be finding itself in the Conference USA Championship after all. And this is the same team that lost to Kennesaw State, by the way. That's the crazy part. You want to see some maturity and some resiliency from a program? This Liberty team absolutely has it. And as for West Kentucky, it sucks for them. Now, one game that we didn't go ahead and take a look at, though, is this Middle Tennessee and New Mexico State game. Neither team really has any aspirations in order to go to a bowl game, but both teams are trying to finish strong. And Mid-Tennessee State does end up winning 24-17 here, as they actually did a pretty good job of moving the ball nearly 10 yards per pass, which is extremely effective to see. Mid-Tennessee State, while they cannot make it to a bowl game necessarily, they can still play a little bit slower and possibly prevent another team in our conference to go to a bowl game. And what I mean by that is that Mid-Tennessee State is going to go on the road to take on FIU here shortly, and FIU needs this win. They need to beat Mid-Tennessee State in order to be bowl eligible. So even though, like I mentioned, the Blue Raiders are not going to experience a game after this, they do have a chance to at least ruin FIU's senior day and possibly end their season early. Another couple of games to watch out for in this conference is that we have a matchup here between Jacksonville State and Western Kentucky. Both teams are 6-1 in conference play, and the winner of this game is going to be able to host the Conference USA Championship. And also, in addition to that, while Jacksonville State is secure in their bid, regardless of what happens in this game, they did beat both Liberty and Sam Houston. Western Kentucky does have a loss to Liberty, which we just saw happen right in front of our eyes. So, what if Western Kentucky does end up losing this game to Jacksonville State? Well, it opens up the door for the Liberty Flames to make it into the Conference USA Championship, but they would need to beat Sam Houston, who's having a pretty good season in their own right. They're 5-2 in conference play, and while Sam Houston can't make the conference championship, they can at least shut the door for the Liberty Flames. So, with that being said, if Western Kentucky wins, they're in, plain and simple, and they get to host the Conference USA Championship that you'll see in the next episode. However, if Jacksonville State wins, they would now, the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers would now need to see Liberty go ahead and lose this game on the road to Sam Houston. Otherwise, if Western Kentucky loses and Liberty wins this game, it would be Liberty that would make the travel to Jacksonville, Alabama in order to play in that Conference USA Championship. Also, a couple of other games here where, you know, we're seeing some teams play for pride that we're not going to jump into. Kennesaw State is playing Louisiana Tech, and then UTEP is playing New Mexico State in the Battle of I-10. That is a rivalry game. Alright, so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the final week of the regular season, as we'll go ahead and start with FIU being back at home. So yes, you are going to see some teams, you know, play their second time. They're going to take on Mid-Tennessee State here. Now, Mid-Tennessee State, they're not really playing for much other than pride, so very similar to the Kennesaw State team, that played them last week, but you know, Kennesaw State played them close, so certainly not the wildest thing in the world to see possibly Mid-Tennessee State come out and beat FIU here at home based on those circumstances. But FIU has more to play for. They are obviously playing for more than just pride. Winning this game would mean they would be bowl eligible, but having protection like that is not going to work. That's like Nick Cannon with a condom. It just simply wasn't there, as they were able to have a quick run to the quarterback. Parker Hughes, the junior, able to lay down the lumber, as FIU is gonna have to settle for a relatively long field goal attempt, a 46-yarder, but thankfully they did like stroke it through. And so we will have a tie game here, you know, definitely going a little bit back and forth, as Mid-Tennessee State, you know, they are able to get a couple more field goals in the second quarter. So down 9-3, they're going to try to get some points on the board before the end of the half. As you can see, the foot speed for Keontae Owens' favorite target, as number 7 is going to find his space on the post route, finding the end zone. Touchdown, Panthers, as that's Saquon Ginobili who's going to take the top off the Mid-Tennessee State defense. And after a successful extra point as well, the FIU Panthers, they're going to also take the lead as well. They're going to be up 10-9, as Mid-Tennessee State does have a chance to respond before halftime. Vitelli rolling out, but it's going to get laid out, as Vitelli gets hit like a Christmas tree. And now it's 3rd and 11 with just one timeout left. Vitelli dropping back, fires over the middle. He is wide, butt naked open, and he is gone like a girl in a country song. Touchdown, Blue Raiders. And Mid-Tennessee State is going to take control of this game. And they're also going to take control of this lead as well. The Blue Raiders going to be up by 6 going into the half. So 16-10 with 21 seconds left. So unless something crazy happens here before the end of the half, we could end up seeing some more points on the board, but it's not for FIU. Keontae Owens puts the ball on the ground and cannot bring the linebacker Hughes down before crossing the plane. And so FIU was just trying to get some points on the board before the half, but it ends up backfiring absolutely horribly. And now Mid-Tennessee State with a 23-10 lead at the half. FIU in some serious trouble. This is their season literally on the line right now, and they are playing like this. This could go back to the end zone. It's a pick 6. Brennan Harris with a 61-yarder to the crib. And Mid-Tennessee State is going to take a 30-10 lead. Where was this Blue Raiders team in the first half of the season? It makes me think that this, Mid-Tennessee State team, they could very well come out and they could make some special things happen in our first full season. I mean, this year is really just a prelude. But man, 35-10 your score. This is a surprise. I would figure that this would be a competitive game, but apparently the Blue Raiders are taking that personally. Loving to play that villain origin story right now. We're seeing it unfold right before our eyes. Here we go, 35-10 your score as Keontae Owens needs his 3rd down conversion. Looks over the middle of the field, it's caught. Big play for the Panthers. And oh baby, did they desperately needed that. Keontae Owens is going to find the end zone. Touchdown, Panthers. And that's Burris actually getting wide butt naked open here. An interesting decision coming up. Really am curious to see if we will see the Panthers go for a 2-point conversion. Because if so, and they succeed in getting it, it would be a 3-possession game, but it would be removing the need for another touchdown. They don't opt to go under that pass, so they're down by 18. They're going to need 3 touchdowns. But hey, maybe those touchdowns could be coming quickly as Keontae Owens with another haymaker. He's trying his best to lead his guys back into the promised land. Touchdown Panthers, as Eric Rivers was able to get wide but naked open down the sideline. And yeah, that's going to be taken right back to the crib. And so FIU showing a little bit of signs of life. They will just settle for the extra point once again. So it'll be a touchdown with a 2-point conversion, but also needing a field goal as well. So not the worst thing in the world. And oh my goodness, that could have been a huge turnover. If they would have fell on it, then, I mean, obviously the Blue Raiders would not have the opportunity to get this field goal here. So now field goals are going to completely be off the board at this point. They're able to get a couple of minutes off the clock as well. And so really going to need a quick touchdown and also an onside kick as well at this point. That's really what it barrels down to, as Owens facing immense pressure. He's going to be sacked. FIU running out of time. They don't have any timeouts, so they can't stop the clock. They eventually clock it at 38 seconds, but 4th and 19. They got to convert this, and somehow they do. Oh my goodness. Keontae Owens, is he going to bring him back from the dead? Are we going to see overtime right before our eyes? Are we really going to see that right now? Because that touchdown right there is going to give them some new life. That is the junior, Eric Rivers, with a dot over to the left-hand side. The safety could not get there in time. And it all comes down to this now, an onside kick. Can Mid-Tennessee State recover and put this game away? And they do. The onside recovery is brought in by the hands team of Mid-Tennessee State. And so a little bit of a type of game that would raise your blood pressure, but Mid-Tennessee State will hang on and win in a thriller. 38-31 ends up being your final score. And so while the Blue Raiders will not be going bowl eligible, they do finish on a 2-game winning streak, and they also stop FIU from going to a bowl game. You want to talk about playing spoiler? That is exactly what it's all about, man. That particular moment right here, that is the crux of college football, baby. But now we get into games that have more implications going forward, as Jacksonville State will make the trip to Bowling Green, Kentucky to take on the Western Kentucky Hilltopper squad. Now, we talked about the possible conference championship scenarios earlier, but let's go ahead and review them real fast in terms of these two teams in particular. So Jacksonville State is going to be in the championship game regardless. They are clinched to be in, but with Jacksonville State winning this game, they can win a trip to have the conference championship game on their home campus, while Western Kentucky needs this win. And because they only have, I believe, one loss so far in conference play, they would be able to get into the Conference USA Championship if they handle business here. Now, if Western Kentucky does lose, however, they would also need Liberty to possibly lose as well, right? In order to have that same kind of variety, I guess, so to speak, in terms of that Conference USA race. So lots to play for here, and early on it's a competitive game. Jacksonville State does have a slight lead, but we're going to open things up a little bit, and it looks like they will, as Tyler Webb is going to hand it off to the tailback, and the Gamecocks are going to be letting their voices heard and be known back in Jacksonville, Alabama. Gamecocks are going to get another touchdown on the scoreboard, as that is Ron Wiggins finding the end zone yet again for the Gamecocks. And a huge lead here. Or not, I would say not a huge lead, but, you know, pretty commanding lead to start things out, but still a lot of football left to be played, as Vandekamp tries to throw off the play action, but they called the blitz, and they had one thing and one thing only in mind: get to that quarterback no matter what. And Austin Ambush, he understood the assignment and got it taken care of. So that forces the Hilltoppers to settle for a long field goal. And good thing this kicker, you know, is part of that Pat McAfee for the brand. Because that was a long field goal, man. That was a 50-plus yarder. Drills it with ease. So makes it a one-possession game here once again. But not for long, because Camp is going to find his receiver in the end zone. Touchdown for the Hilltoppers. That is Matheson able to break the top off of the defense. Going to be interesting to see if they decide to go for that two-point conversion or not. But for now, I know they're definitely happy with finding Michael Matheson in the end zone there. I mean, just barbecue chicken on that throw, if I say so myself. So, with that being said, Western Kentucky actually does not decide to go for the two-point conversion, but they will go and grab the extra points. So let's go ahead and jump into the second half. It looks like the Hilltoppers, they are absolutely poised to go ahead and retake the lead, as they will get it inside the 15-yard line, but can't move the ball after that big conversion off the curl route. So Western Kentucky, they do have to settle for yet another field goal, and it's going to be, you know, a slim lead for Western Kentucky, but the Hilltoppers are, in fact, in the lead, and they have a chance to close the game out once and for all, but they put the ball on the ground. It's recovered by Jacksonville State. The Gamecocks have life again, as they are on the verge to take the lead, as they're going to take over at the 28-yard line. Just one thing that you cannot have happened. It happened as Fred Perry was able to fall on the loose ball, and now the Gamecocks are driving downfield. Webb drops back, looks to his right, fires, and gets it to his tight end in the end zone. Touchdown, Jacksonville State. And the Gamecocks are going to be in the lead once again. And so, Jacksonville State, with an interesting decision to make on its own, right? Because, yes, they do get the touchdown, but if they go for a two-point conversion and get it, they could also make this a field goal game, or at least make it to where they cannot, in fact, lose off of a field goal. And sure enough, that's exactly what they decide to do. They go for the two-point conversion. It's successful. And now the Gamecocks cannot lose on a field goal, but they can certainly still lose on a touchdown here. And that's sure what Camp is wanting. Firing downfield. Wants a crosser, but it's intercepted. Jacksonville State, the defense making big plays late in this ball game. And you want to talk about multiple backbreakers for Caden Viscamp. That is certainly multiple backbreakers being witnessed right in front of our eyes, man. K1 McCurry could put this game away, and they could do it with this third down conversion, possibly throwing to the left-hand side, and they will get the first down. And from here on out, Jacksonville State was going to be able to run down the rest of his clock. They take the knee, and Jacksonville State is going to come back. 14-19 was their score, but their defense locked in when it mattered the most, and we will, in fact, see Jacksonville State in the Conference USA Championship. They will host, as they did finish the regular season undefeated in conference play. Meanwhile, for Western Kentucky, all of a sudden, them boys are going to need just a little bit of help here, as Western Kentucky will now need Liberty to lose in order to make that same dream happen. So, with that being said, we'll see if Western Kentucky can get a little bit of lady luck on their side. And it's not a chalk victory for the Liberty Flames by any means. They are a slight favorite, but Sam Houston, they have a very talented football team in their own right. And so, Sam Houston could make things very interesting in the Conference USA picture. They could send Western Kentucky to the Conference USA Championship. Sam Houston is completely locked out at this point, but they can certainly play for a better bowl game, as 9-3 would be a very respectable record regardless of where you are in the FBS. But that is not going to help your cause whatsoever. An opening drive interception, and Liberty, who has one of the best quarterbacks, actually scratch that, the best quarterback in the group of 5. Yes, you heard it first. They're going to have that guy start in Sam Houston territory. This sounds like a recipe for disaster, if you ask me. And it's going to end up being a touchdown for this Liberty squad. It does not take very long for them to score at all. And so Liberty is going to find his tailback, Ed Cooley. And that's how your first points are going to be scored. And if you're Western Kentucky, that is not what you want to see in terms of a start. Just absolutely a worst case scenario. Is now midway through the first quarter. Sam Houston trying to put together a little bit of a something here as they'll throw over to the left middle of the field. That is a beautiful layered throw by Hunter Watson. I want to make that very clear there. That is not an easy throw to make, and Hunter Watson certainly made it easy, but not as easy as it is actually scoring on this Liberty defense. Watson, had that red zone opportunity. They try to throw for it on 3rd and 4, but Bryce Dixon was going to be able to get home, sheds the double team, and it looks like this Bearcats team is going to have to settle for a field goal attempt. Not something that you would love to see, but we are going to get anyways, as the kick is up, and it is good. And the Bearcats will go and at least get on the board once again, but kind of seeing those same problems that we saw in Sam Houston's last matchup against Jacksonville State, just struggling to put points up on the board. And this has been a little bit of an issue for this Sam Houston Bearcats team in real life. I don't know what happened. They were off to such an incredible start, but yeah, man, it's been really interesting to see unfold, as Quentin Reese is going to be able to get home to the quarterback, able to lay him down. And again, Bearcats, who had another red zone opportunity, by the way, they are going to have to settle for yet another field goal. And, when you have someone like Caden Salter on the other side, and, really the highest overall rated offense in the conference opposite of you, it's going to take more than field goals to beat this Liberty team. At least to beat them, or at least have any realistic shot of beating them. Because weird things do happen, don't get me wrong, but I don't think anything weird is going to happen here. Is they do at least stop Liberty from finding the end zone late in the first half, so at least you got that. But yeah, man, more than 6.5 points, you're going to have to do a lot better than that, is what I'm trying to say, right? So, that being said, we'll jump into the second half, and still a pretty low-scoring affair. I'm actually pretty surprised to see how low-scoring as it is their running back tries to leap over a defender, and it backfires absolutely horribly. I mean, honestly, bro, what are you thinking here? As Jerome Jolly Jr., he's been a menace to the Sam Houston defense, man. He's been all over this field, and Liberty will get a field goal out of it, but Sam Houston, they desperately need points as we enter the final quarter of action. Call it the final countdown, as the Bearcats back in a familiar spot in the red zone. But the first 2 trips ended in a field goal. Can this be different? Looking over the middle of the field, and Hunter Watson finds his man in the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Sam Houston! And the Bearcats are going to cut it to just a 3-point game after finding Ife Adaye. And so, all of a sudden, and Sam Houston does also get a field goal off screen. Could be looking at overtime here, but this first down is going to put them firmly in field goal range right here, right now. Final seconds, ticking down. 40-yard field goal. It's up, and it's good! Liberty is going to win the football game. And it was a little bit of a nightmare in terms of offense. You know, if you're an offensive guy, then, you know, maybe this particular game in the episode is not for you, bro. It is certainly not for you. But alas, Liberty finds a way to pull it out. And because Liberty wins on the road against Sam Houston State, we will see Liberty making the trip next episode to take on the Jacksonville State Gamecocks for the Conference USA Championship. And yeah, man, what a comeback for Liberty. Able to make a shake at the end, able to clutch it up, and for Sam Houston, just nothing but heartbreak on the other side. Now, before we get into the end of the regular season for us, there was a couple of games that I wanted to touch on real quick. Kennesaw State, they've had a rough first year in the FBS, but they are going to finish on a high note, actually. They will, in fact, find a way to not only beat Louisiana Tech, but they blow out Louisiana Tech as well, as the Kennesaw State Owls win 38-17, doing so by winning the turnover battle amongst a multitude of other factors. And then UTEP did find a way to beat New Mexico State in the Battle of I-10. The rivalry game does go in the favor of the Miners, so they do avoid a 10-loss season. So UTEP does manage to get a 33-21 victory over the New Mexico State Aztecs. Now, coming out of the bowl, or not out of the bowl season, but going into conference championship weekend, this is what the college football playoff rankings are looking like as of right now. Still have at least one undefeated team out there. BYU does manage to get an undefeated regular season, at least in this particular situation, towards the end of the season. But what's going to make things really interesting is that race for that conference championship, or at least that 6 spots against the college football playoff. And honestly, as of right now, Liberty actually could accidentally get into the college football playoff. They could backdoor their way in. Boise State fell 5 spots to from number 19 to number 24 in the nation. So Liberty actually controls its own destiny. So if they can find a way to win the Conference USA Championship, they will likely secure at least a 12 seed in the college football playoff. Now, with that being said, what we are looking at right now is that so Liberty is not favored to win the Conference USA Championship, and as such, they're not reflected here on this college football playoff bracket. But if they were to get in and Ohio State does not end up winning in the the Big Ten championship or something like that, then that would be a case where it looks like Liberty would very likely take on Ohio State in the first round, and they would have to do this in Columbus. But yeah, that being said, we will have a full game of the Conference USA Championship in the next episode. We're gonna finish up this this prelude season, this current season that we're in, before we get into our first full season with this series. So next episode, we will be at Jacksonville, Alabama for the Conference USA Championship. Hopefully you guys are excited for it. Hopefully you guys are excited to see if could Liberty make it to the college football playoff, or could Jacksonville State possibly play a spoiler? You know, we'll definitely find that out in the next episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and if you did, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. This is JohnJake Gaming on the mic signing off, but hoping you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.